Ladies and gents, polish those shoes and crank the gramophone. It's time to dive headfirst into the decade that danced like no one was watching, the Roaring Twenties. Now we got flappers and fringe and bootleg gin, jasmine blowing as the night rolls in. From Harlem Nights to Hollywood gold, stories untold, scandal and bold. We regret nothing. We're talking swing, we're talking sass, top hats, headlines, and backstage pass. We regret nothing.
Welcome back to We Regret Nothing. I'm your host, Sean, and today we're stepping out in style, literally. We spent this season digging into the films, books, songs, and radio shows of the 1920s, but now it's time to talk about what everyone was wearing while that all happened. Joining me as always, our panelists Michele and Andrea, and we are thrilled to welcome our first guest, but also a special guest, Laurie, our in-house fashion historian, to help us unravel the trends that defined this decade. From flapper dresses to fedoras, pearls to pinstripes, we'll be reviewing the first 10 items on our list of 20 pieces of iconic fashion and deciding which ones truly capture the look and spirit of the Roaring Twenties. So, grab your Cloche hat, shine your shoes, and let's see which styles still dazzle a century later. Welcome, Laurie.
Thank you, Sean.
Welcome, Michele.
Hello.
Hello, Andrea.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's start with, Laurie is our guest. Let's start with, do you have any thoughts about the fashion of the 1920s in general? Not specific items on the list, but just can you tell us a little bit about what was going on with fashion?
Well, what I researched and what I've always loved fashion, so I think that fashion was independence for women at this point, because they were starting to wear things that were so different from the turn of the century. They were, shorter hemlines, and, they were having jobs, and they were doing things that they were becoming their own people, so they wanted to look their own way. That's how I kind of saw it in the 1920s.
That's fucking awesome.
Anything, Michele or Andrea, anything?
No, I'll just let her scooch here, and I'll just take a break from this whole series. I'm just gonna go sit at the bar. Yeah, I just said, as you see, I came dressed at the height of fashion.
I just said that I fucking love the style of the 20s. Not the mindset, not the dicks, but I love the. Sorry, I can't be positive all the time.
Could you just try it just once, for a minute?
No.
Okay.
Bless your soul.
Okay.
Herc was on a roll. But no, this style is, I love it.
Okay, well, let's jump into the list here. Number one is the flapper dress. And so Laurie had just said a couple of things, but about women's independence and their roles changing. So before I turn it over to y'all to talk about the dress itself, before the 20s, women's fashion was characterized by Victorian era modesty. Women were, again, the length of the dress, what they covered. There were the corsets and long skirts. And then comes the flapper. We've talked about the flapper on previous episodes. I know these two on the ends of the couch would have been flappers. I think Laurie would have fit right in with them. But so the symbol of the 20s, the flapper, embodied the youth and rebellion that was also associated with prohibition. But the key, we've talked about World War I and the effect of World War I on culture in America. But women joined the workforce during World War I. So men were off fighting, women joined the workforce, women start working, driving. And then the 19th Amendment passes in 1920, where women get the right to vote. And then men come back from World War I. And when the men come back, many women were not ready to give up their jobs and their independence. And instead of reverting kind of back to the modesty of that Victorian era, this is where we see women ditch their corsets, cut their hair, and the flapper is born. So rebellious and determined, flappers flirted, danced, smoked, and frequented speakeasies. much like their free spirits, the flapper dress was a stark contrast to the way that the older generations dress. So anybody have thoughts about the flapper dress outside of what I said?
Do you want to call us out?
Whoa. He already did that where he said we would be flat.
That was no. I like when you like said Michele thoughts or Laurie thoughts. Or
well, I would like to start with our guest one more time.
Okay,
so Laurie's going to go first.
These are the notes that I took on them. I said their symbol of female independence, the dropped waist, and they didn't have to worry about the corset anymore. The knee-length hem, so that when they were out dancing, it didn't get in the way. It was popular during the Jazz Age, which is the dance. You know, they had a lot of popular dances then. And then there were some very prominent designers that were designing these dresses. And so like Coco Chanel, and they kind of gave rise, they saw the movie stars wear these dresses and these dances were popular. So they started wearing, and then the stars would embellish their dresses and they would do the same. And a lot of these jazz clubs, that was popular to wear there too.
Mm-hmm.
That's the notes that I have.
God bless the dropped waistline.
Well, that's
Thank you.
So I mean, yeah, because like it's just being grasped in like having to hold your breath to be bound into something, and then you have this. And number one, I do want to say though that I also recognize the origin of the word flapper and fuck men, because it is
it is a derogatory term.
It's a derogatory term, and yes, found that in my research. Google it, and
I did, and there is no actual origin of flapper.
Oh, that's not what I found.
I found like several different origins.
I found, but it did have a negative, and then they tried to say like, no, it's when a girl's hair's down, when it's still braided before you would wear it up, and it would flap against their shoulders. But it was also found back in the early 1800s that was a female of
Lady of the evening.
Yeah.
Oh, so okay, so then I take it back. Laurie was not a flapper, but you two still were men.
Wow, see.
There's no shame in that.
But
I can't shame my body count.
And I'll say this, not even about the dress, but the dress matters in this conversation. But I think that no matter what you call these women, I think it was.
No, I think they owned it.
I think it was derogatory because that's why I said what I said in the beginning is when I come back from war, I expect you to go back to the house and not work and not drive and not vote, all those things. And so we're calling it the flapper just for sake of argument.
No, it is.
The women who did these things, dressed this way, acted in this manner, were definitely rebelling against all of these social norms. Yes. And so, yes, these men and conservative women were probably looking down their nose at flappers.
Yes.
So no matter, my point was just the origin of why they were called flappers. It doesn't take away from the fact that people weren't thrilled about this change in women's behavior.
Such a mark of honor. Like when you said that Michele and I would be flappers.
I actually do mean that as a compliment.
I know you.
I do.
Yeah, I know you. But like
you three rebellious.
Yeah, like I do have. I have these dresses were the tits, especially if you didn't have them, because I have noticed that they weren't for the
busty,
the busty one. But do you remember in the frickin' 80s when Gunny Sacks by Jessica McClintock had that? Yeah. I think you had one. I know I had.
Oh, I'm sure I did. I've
seen a picture. Stop.
Drop.
But like I have,
to be honest,
my favorite one. Like my cousin and I had like matching one, not matching, but same style, different colors to like go to the Nutcracker, and it was royal blue, and it was the drop waist with the sash here, and it was lace and the like little. Fucking love that.
And you see people when they go to a 20s party. What did they wear? They wear a flannel dress, right? That's an iconic symbol.
Yeah.
I for sure would have cut my hair, 100%. Would have cut my hair, I'd have finger waved the shit out of that. Yeah. And then, because the French fashion version was called garçon, and say it with me, garçon means boy. And 1000%. I love that part of their independence was I can look any way I want, and that includes being a tiny bit androgynous, or maybe I look a little more masculine than you care for. Therefore, back it up, big fella.
Yeah.
I'm just going to do what I want to do.
Yes.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
Doing my own thing.
You went off and fought a war. I'm not downplaying that, but how the fuck did you think anything was going to get done if you were in another country?
Yeah, I do also, I wrote down that they were mostly made of really light and loose fabric.
Yeah,
and
can you imagine that?
Like, fucking sign me up.
Yeah. Can you, that would have been,
me up.
I'll take that.
Okay. So I want to...
Thumbs up, Mike Utley.
Yeah. I just want to be a little bit specific when we're talking about these dresses, right? So, because I just want to put together what everybody said about them from a form and fashion standpoint. They were shorter than the other dresses.
Lighter.
Calf revealing length.
Yes.
Lower neckline. And then not typically form fitting, so straight and slim. And again, you all have mentioned those. I'm just putting them all together.
Yes.
Yeah.
They had smaller straps.
Yeah.
Right. And they were beaded and sequins and
Fringe.
all kinds of like,
So you
fringe.
So if you've got those smaller straps, you can't have anything on underneath it that's going to show, which thank Jesus. Because
also, pointed or scalloped hemlines.
yes.
Fringe, you said the tassels, beaded tassels around the knees. Laurie brought up dancing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the key feature to a flapper dress is how it looked when it moved.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was the whole point is when they were dancing, what this thing was going to look like. So
It looks
dynamic
so good.
hemlines, beads, sequins, tassels, anything to sparkle and shimmer when they're dancing, moving to the Charleston, or what Laurie said, a couple of dances, I think. But then Michele brought up, so the embellishments could be sewn to fluid textiles like chiffon, organza. What are some other materials?
Silk.
Satin.
Okay.
Linen.
A little later, it would have been the rayon, kind of very light summer wear-ish.
And then I will say another piece of this may have been is you could construct a flapper dress at home.
Yeah.
So there are butterick patterns from the 20s that you could purchase and create your own dress. So it was cheaper. You could do it at home. Like that I think for some of these women was a huge factor.
I think because everybody knew how to sew back then.
Yeah.
Because it was done out of necessity.
But there's only so many things, and it did take longer too to construct it, especially when I go back to my Little House on the Prairie days, and like when they would go pick out the material, and like I remember reading the books, like how much longer it would take to make certain things, and you had this also kicked the bustle out of it, because you had your raised bustle, and you no longer had to worry about that, which is very hard to construct. I mean, and we talk about flapper. I know my mind goes to flapper dresses right away as like jazz clubs and sequins and everything, but if you look at like the pictures of like women just walking along like the boardwalk or something, they're in like linen flapper dress. I mean, like a version of it,
like the daytime version.
Like you know, with the stripes, which I love. I used to have one like that too. That maybe I should have been born in the 20s. You would have been so safe.
Okay, number 2, the Cloche hat, which we have one on the ottoman there, adorning not adorning the microphone.
Yes, courtesy of Michele.
Courtesy of Michele. Thank you, Michele.
She bought in Ward
Portland. On the war-torn streets of Portland.
So Michele, talk to me about the Cloche hat.
Another franche.
Franche.
It's French for bell, as you can see. It's quite bell-shaped. It was usually made of felt, or this one's wool and felt, just because, you know, that material was more, you know, you can get this now. But they were mostly made of felt, low on the forehead, right? So that, and then later in the decade, they start to flip the top part up a little bit, right? So it's a little more playful, right? If you turned this one to the side and the embellishments were more on the side, then you could flip the other side kind of up. All kinds of, again, embellishments, sometimes a feather, sometimes a brooch, sometimes just decorations on it. And then I don't know if you guys saw, but if you did, talk about there were certain ways you could wear this hat
For your availability status?
Yes, availability status.
I did not-
Like the arrow for
Yes.
you were available, right?
That's
Or were you
interesting.
married?
It had an arrow-like ribbon on it, meant that you were single, but you attached.
You'd
basically.
given your heart to someone.
Correct.
Oh,
Yes.
Okay.
And then a knot
Mm-hmm.
meant you were
You
married.
tied it.
Okay.
And then any kind of flamboyant bow or feathers
I
or
love
whatever
that. I
meant
had
that you
never
were
heard that.
single
And
and
ready
ready to mingle.
That was. I had never heard that until I read that
did
too, and I was like,
I did not know.
I was
that
like, oh,
going
I love
in.
this. It's
I
like
had-
it's like a clotter ring for your head. Like
yes,
I'm like,
yes.
I love this.
No, so I read up on it a little bit. I read that some of the styles could complement the flapper style. It was easy to wear.
Mm-hmm.
It was a simple design. It could be formal or informal. And then I put who introduced it, a French milliner.
Yes.
Give him the Cloche
I
hat.
love the
Oh.
French.
French.
And I don't know how to say her name, Caroline Rebu.
Sure.
That's okay.
So, but yeah, it was. They used it for all different occasions. That's what I read. Sometimes when they even were playing sports, they would wear this. Or
Yeah, I've seen them
if they
wear
had
like
stuff.
tennis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep,
Seen a lot of tennis players.
a lot of tennis.
Also, I'd like to argue that a bucket hat is a cloche.
I
Fight
would
me.
agree with that.
Ooh,
I would
Is a
agree with
bucket
that.
hat
do-
not a cloche?
I totally agree
I
with
mean,
that.
it's got the same lines.
It's got the
for
same.
sure.
Yeah,
Flippy dip in the front.
my granddaughter stole mine.
I know.
Those
I'm
were
sorry about
awesome
that.
bucket hats.
But I think like that's like an evolutionary line, right? I
Yes.
do think like I think a bucket hat is a cloche. It's just a more casual,
Yeah, it's a beach cloche.
user-friendly cloche.
Yeah,
Yes.
very cool.
Okay. Anything?
Also, one more point.
Yeah.
It complemented the hairstyles of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Also,
because you didn't have 8 million.
you didn't
Pounds of
have
braids.
you didn't wear your hair up when you cut your hair short. You could wear this.
Right on top. Yeah.
Perfect.
The Eton crop, I believe.
Listen to you.
I know.
Okay. Number 3. Oxford shoes. I believe it's Andrea.
I love Oxford shoes on a man. I don't know what, especially full bro spectators. I think it comes down to my bouginess. I know that like when you had a pair, those were freaking hot. I love shoes. And this is kind of weird because like my mom who raised me fucking hates Oxfords. But I think like her second husband wore them and she didn't like it, but that's a whole thing. These shoes are cool. I do not care for the heeled version on a woman. I don't like the style. They look clunky to me. And they were all the rave too, and way more comfortable. And you could actually like the Oxford shoes for women was another and men, I guess, was another freeing thing more for women because men have always had it. But you didn't have to do the 8 million buttons anymore because you'd have your little button thing and you'd have the little button pick and and this was like, shit was tied. So, yeah. I like an Oxford on a good looking man.
Laurie?
I like the two-tone Oxford myself. I thought it was flashy. I thought it still is something that men wear today.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a classic, never goes out of style. I think a lot of men are going to the brown Oxfords now, and that's what they would wear then.
Yeah,
I think it's
Chris
a classic.
has some that they're not true Oxfords because of the way they're constructed.
Correct.
So because a true Oxford had a very specific construction.
Yes.
There was
3
like
parts.
what's it called? The toe cap.
Mhm.
Capto,
And
yeah.
then the quarter where the laces were, and then there was a very distinct middle part called the vamp.
Yes.
And then so there are different versions of Oxfords, but a true Oxford was because
They went
and-
to Yale.
well the students who went to Oxford were cutting boots that were called Oxonians. Am I saying that right? So they'd take that boot because it was kind of clunky to
Yes.
wear with what they were, doing, and they cut it down. So what was
I think it's far.
left was the
It's like
shape
the
of the
sh-
shoe
yeah.
we know now. It was
Ooh.
just the, like, so instead of, it's my shitty
Yes.
boot, right? They took this part off, right, to leave just the little part
Okay.
here with the laces. Then they had the middle part, which would have been part of a boot,
Yeah.
and then the toe cap, which is why they look like that, which is why true Oxfords have all three of those parts and the other ones do not.
Yes.
So I have a question, Laurie. Do you think that women's booties, you know what I'm talking about, like the little
Yes.
ankle boots,
Mhm.
Yes.
are those Oxfords? Or are
I
they
don't
their
think so
own-
because what I read about what a true Oxford, like you talked about, they were called the closed lacing, where the eyelet flaps were sewn underneath
right,
the vamp. So I don't think those technically could be an Oxford. I think,
and they don't have laces
and
generally.
they don't have laces. So
Yeah.
I think the Oxford, yes, they did have the origins from the Oxford University.
Mhm.
Is that's what they did. And I think, yeah, as style was evolving, it was function mostly, and now was evolving into style. And so people
Yes.
were starting to do that. They were starting to say, hey, I have this because it's functional, but I want to look good.
Mhm.
So style was becoming actually as important to men as it was to women. Whereas before it was just, hey, how do
Function.
I, because, people were walking everywhere. So they needed a good shoe. And these were actually good shoes because they had a rubber sole on them. But they weren't as much, like you were saying, as much business to get them tied. You could just slip them on, tie them up,
Yeah.
good to go. But I think they're a classic.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
There's a reason they're still around.
Yes.
Michele, your question. I don't know why I'm wading into this, but in Oxford, so we already said closed lacing system. The eyelet pieces are sewn underneath the vamp, creating this clean, streamlined, and formal look. The opposite of an Oxford is a derby.
A derby.
So a
right.
derby features an open lacing system where the eyelet pieces are sewn on top of the vamp. Creates a gap in the leather, making the shoe more casual. I think that
Yes.
shoe that you're describing for women, I think, is a derby.
Mhm.
Or maybe it's neither, but
It's probably neither, just because they're generally not laced. Although there are lace
Mm-hmm.
boots, like
Mhm.
short boots, booties.
And then-
I'm not a fan of
and
it.
so
They do have. You were talking about the ones that lace up those kind of booties that women wear. Yes, I would say that those are a type of. Are you talking about the heeled
I think they're
Oxford?
a derby. Yes.
Okay.
I think
Like
that's
a heeled. They do actually classify them, I think, as a heeled Oxford when
Oh.
they sell them. Those ones that look like the old-fashioned
Yes.
sort of boot
Mhm.
that they would wear. So I think technically, it does in a description have an Oxford. But when I think of an Oxford, I think of a flat rubber
Right.
sole shoe.
Yeah, generally two-toned at the time.
At the time, yeah.
Yeah.
well, then the last piece of this, whether it's Oxfords or derbies, are brogues.
Mhm.
And so brogues, it's decorative perforations essentially,
Mhm.
because I think someone was mentioning
Andrea.
An Oxford full brogue spectator.
Oxford's never brogues. That's
I don't give a fuck. This is what my thing said. I don't fucking care.
Well,
Welcome to the show, Laurie.
I love it.
No,
I
I'm a
love it.
hater.
so
I
brogues are just decorations. They're perforations in the leather that are different decorations for the
I
shoe.
didn't know what the fuck they were. I just knew that I liked them.
Okay, so you could do like end cap stitching. That's a quarter brogue, perforated holes along the end cap and toe cap, a semi brogue with a classic window. Like there's all the different decorations. But like I said, a brogue can be on a derby or an Oxford. So it's just the different components of what make a shoe and what we call the shoe. Anything else about Oxfords though, y'all?
No.
Okay, perfect. Next. Yeah, there was attitude there for anybody who was wondering. Let's talk hair.
Nobody was wondering.
So let's talk hair. Bobbed hair specifically, because we talked about it with the flappers and with
Yes.
some of the others. So it is back to Laurie, right?
Okay. So this
Yeah.
this one is very exciting because this is iconic for the 20s, right?
Yes.
So this is what I wrote about bobbed hair. I love lines. So this became the symbol of the modern woman. It was popular due to its rebellious nature and its practicality. Complemented the cloche hat. It was actually worn by women in the military, and it was huge with celebrities. And I researched that it became a thing. The first lady to do it, her name was Irene Castle. She was undergoing surgery and cut her hair short. She was a dancer, and so that's why she cut her hair so that she could keep her hair, control it.
Yeah.
But I don't know if she was very prominent, like she did a lot of shows. I don't know much about her, but I think it just took off like wildfire because they were like, I'm just chopping my hair. I don't have to do my hair anymore. I don't have to put it in braids. I don't have to put it up. I don't have to conform to anything. I can just wear what I want. Well, that's my thoughts on it.
Awesome. But Michele?
I did also have that a lot of women cut it because of the war, right?
Yeah.
They were like making their hair shorter to do work, right? While
you can get your
point
hair cut
earlier,
in those.
Right. If you're doing the work at home while the men are off fighting the war, then if you have long hair and get it caught in some kind of contraption, like that's bad times, right? No capes.
No capes.
No capes.
No capes, Edna.
And that, so there was like the first celebrity hairdresser. His name was Antony Cyr Plakowski, better known as Antoine de Paris.
Okay, I was going to say, what did he change it to? There had to be a change.
So he started like cutting women's hair like that for fashion reasons, right? Not the functionality part again, like you were talking about, but more for fashion reasons. And said that he was inspired by Joan of Arc.
Oh.
Yeah. So
that makes a lot of sense.
Whether he meant the actual Joan of Arc or, as we've talked about on previous podcasts, the actual movie portrayal of Joan of Arc, her hair was very short. And that's kind of, he created like a trend. Like where, like the Rachel or some shit like that. Right. Where suddenly everyone started seeing people wearing their hair that way and they were like, oh my God, I want that. Yeah. Right. So, shout out to, and then Vidal Sassoon brought it back, more in our era with, like an Anna Wintour. I mean, shout out your favorite Bobs, right? Yeah. Anna Wintour, lover or hater.
Yep. That hair.
That hair is iconic.
That's how Coco Chanel wore her hair as well.
Yeah.
Yep. Susie, I always say this wrong. Susie Sue, like Susie in the Banshee.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sue. Maud Lebowski. Anyway, just like it's here. It's still here, right? People still cut it.
I had mine in a bob for years. Like, that was, and I could do everything with the chin length bob for years. And then,
Mrs. Mia Wallace. There's just like, so it's still, again, the through line of a hairstyle created in the 20s.
Yeah.
People still, sometimes in waves, right? Yeah. Still are wearing it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, Laurie, I saw the same write-up that you did.
Yes.
That Irene Castle was in an article in Vogue magazine in 1915, and it happened to mention that she bobbed her hair. I do not know. I couldn't pin down like an actual where it exploded, the bob hairstyle. But I want to bring this up because it's in 1908. There was a woman named Clara Tice, and I just want to spend just a second and talk about this bad bitch. Clara Tice, an American avant-garde illustrator and artist, spent most of her life in New York City. Because of her provocative art and public appearances, she was seen as the representative of Bohemian Greenwich Village in the 1900s.
Okay.
And thus was known as the Queen of Greenwich Village.
Wow.
So in 1908, Clara Tice bobbed her hair.
Oh.
And so she is on record, as far as I can find, as being the first woman in Greenwich Village to bob her hair. Then in 1915, and it's around the same time as that article in Vogue.
Yes.
There's a guy named Anthony Comstock. I think we've heard of him.
Yes.
Main founder of the Society for the Suppression of Vice. So Tony here showed up and tried to confiscate Tice's artwork at the well-known Bohemian restaurant Polly's. Immediately thereafter, Tice's artwork, photos of her started. They were at Vanity Fair, Rogue, the Blind Man cartoon magazine. She was everywhere with her bobbed hair. And so again, I'm not saying that this is the actual,
I like that.
but so she was such an important part in Greenwich Village, the art scene. She joined Aaronsburg Circle and all that other stuff that kind of goes with it. But in the 20s, she illustrated over a dozen books with her erotic images. And so maybe just locally, but I could find proof that she was the first woman in Greenwich Village to bob her hair. And that maybe.
Do we know the etymology of bobbed? Like why it's called bobbed?
I
didn't even thought about that. I don't know.
That's
But when
a
you
good
bob,
question. I don't know.
I think you bob an animal.
Oh boy.
Oh,
So-
like
no,
a
not-
bobbler, like a bobtail.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
maybe it is.
Maybe
Okay.
that is. Maybe that is.
That could-
You're
I mean-
whacking it off at a.
Yeah.
Easy,
That's a really
Michele.
good question.
Jesus. I just want to run through the list really
Someone's gonna
quick.
arrest you in your artwork.
So there was a shingle
You are the
bob,
prude.
shingle bob,
Mm.
a waved bob,
Yes.
a boyish bob,
Mhm.
a Dutch cut, horizontal clubbed bob, Marcel, water waved shingle, horizontal tapered bob, French center bob, French side bob, flapper bob, center part bob, and a girlish bob.
Let's do it.
That is not the exhaustive list, but that's just the top 12. Michele, what?
Barbecue shrimp, butterfly shrimp. In my brain.
Okay, number 5. Okay, so feather boas. I want to let me just get your thoughts, Michele. Any feather boas?
Again, another flapper favorite, right? Also highly used in cabarets and vaudeville acts, like for mostly the same purposes, right? In the cabaret acts, they were used as covering,
Yeah.
right? To
Very
strategically, yes, cover
Cover.
some areas.
The no triangle and girls.
Yeah, I did not have a bunch about it other than, again, just, more shout outs for your favorite boa wearing.
Showgirl.
Jessie Ventura.
That's exactly.
How are we not talking about Jessie?
No, do you remember the ventriloquist dummy? Was her name Madam? Remember she had do you remember
yeah,
that? Like
yeah.
that's and
Yeah.
feather boas I don't dislike them as an accessory. I don't like them because it's like that's I don't also can't find them. I just want to point that out as somebody who went shopping for them the other day.
That it very much complemented the look.
Oh heck yeah!
Of right, and I guess if you the idea was like to dress up the look that you were, you could throw some, and they were usually, they're all synthetic now, but back in the day, they also weren't particularly cheap.
I would like ostrich feathers.
They were like ostrich
cheap,
feathers,
yes.
and they were all hand sewn.
Yeah.
So
That's what I'm always like. How do you sew it? And that's the feather one because I know there's like the ermine boa,
but they
which
do
is
look fucking cool.
They look super
They
cool.
look great. They move.
I
great.
cannot. Yeah.
The movement also of
When
them.
Jessie Ventura can wear something better than
Come
me,
on.
I'm not going to. Like,
Well, it was a big, I put notable wearers of the feather boa: Josephine Baker
yes, but
and
again,
Clara Bow. And
Clara.
what I read was they conveyed glamour and opulence. They were seen to be something of a
I could see
very,
that. Yeah.
Like you said, they were not cheap.
right.
So they were like, you had to have money to have this ostrich
Yeah.
feather or whatever feather they were using. Boa.
The only thing I had that I wanted to add is boas go back to ancient times. They were around a lot longer than the 1900s. But when I brought up the Victorian era, feather boas, you'd said the symbol of opulence and refinement and wealth. That was big in the Victorian era. And so I thought it was interesting that in the 20s, the flappers, one of the only things
Oh,
that
is funny.
I
They
can find
reclaimed
is
it. They took it back.
they kept the boa,
Yeah.
but we're using it more for the an accessory on the dance floor.
Yeah.
Not so much, look how rich I am, I have ostrich feathers or whatever.
Right.
But I just thought it was interesting.
But
They
also
kept
kind
the
of a
boa.
slinkiness to it. Like
Yes,
that would
like
be
you
like,
said, they used
Yeah,
it.
they reclaimed it.
yeah,
right?
you cover certain and just I like that where it's like this is no longer stayed like we are going to the
Yeah, you were
manor.
covering something
Yeah.
up, and then they reclaimed it. I'm sorry, I keep
Yeah.
saying reclaimed. To cover things up, but
Yeah.
in a much different way
Yeah.
Right.
than they were originally used.
I like that. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay, number 6. Oh, the tuxedo. Tuxedo with tailcoat.
Yes. How did I
Um,
skip these ones?
I don't know.
I skipped this. I have silk stockings next.
That's 7, yeah. But
Well,
we're gonna talk tuxedo, and you'll have some thoughts, I think. So, who went? I lose track. I think Michele.
Sure. It was, it was elite wear, obviously, right? No, your local Union Joe did not have a tuxedo in his closet. It has military origins, mostly the tail part about riding horses, right? The cut of it, the
Split.
shape of it, how it was split was about nobility riding horses, military.
Because that's the same cut as a
Right.
fox hunting jacket. As
Yeah,
the red.
and they're and I don't have all of these, but Laurie probably does. But there were the different shapes of the tails and how long they were and how short the coat part was and buttons, and that they like the reason they're called tuxedos was because Pierre Lorillard was like a socialite, right? And they used to hold these. I think I have this right. They like to hold these balls, and he came out in what was a very shortcut front jacket, but long, and they held these at their estate, which was called Tuxedo Park, and then
Okay.
the name stuck.
Okay.
And that's
Okay.
If I can just jump
Sure,
in for
yes,
just a
please,
second, because
please.
I want to kind of back up. You started with the military thing. So in the 1900s, riding horses were the primary mode of transportation for soldiers. But at that time, the officers at least were wearing these long form coats that were about they were just above the knee. And then someone figured out, okay, if we cut the front off of these, they won't get in the way of riding the horse.
Right.
And then also if we split the back of them, those sides fall off both sides of the horse. So that's where it starts. And then soon thereafter, civilians adopt the look. So now wealthy men are wearing jackets with a cut waist in the front and tails in the back. And then to Michele's point, they start styling the shapes, rounding the corners, they're doing all these things with the tails. This then was called, in elite societies, that was called a tailcoat.
Yes.
Different than a tuxedo.
right.
So it's a tailcoat. And because Michele brought up Pierre Lorillard,
Lord.
Pierre Lorillard actually was invited to a black tie event put on in 1865 by the Prince of Wales, Edward VII. Edward VII, before this ball, commissioned Henry Poole of Savile Row. He wanted a more relaxed yet still formal dinner jacket. So the creation, a shorter tailless jacket with satin lapels, was an alternative to the formal tailcoat that you could wear to less formal occasions.
White tie versus black tie.
Black tie, correct. So Prince Edward dons this tailless coat, comes out to the ball, catches the eye of one of his guests, Pierre Lorillard. Now, the reason I made a face at you is I did not a face at you, but Pierre Lorillard comes from a family of tobacco magnates. And they're actually still to this day, technically, the oldest tobacco company on record, Lorillard. They had Old Gold cigarettes,
Oh God.
and Old Gold cigarettes sponsored a bunch of the radio shows that we talked about.
Oh, yeah,
That's why I
really?
made that face.
Yeah.
But actually, they beech nut chewing tobacco,
Sure.
Mhm.
Lorillard, that family is they have just more money
then
than
I did use socialite correctly.
You did, yes. And I thought it was funny where the money
Yeah.
came from the tobacco industry.
Sure.
But
Yeah, I
then
did not know that.
he gets Lorillard gets he inherits a large piece of property in New York.
Fuck me. I'm looking at that large piece of property in New York.
Okay, so listen, he inherits that.
It is. They're referred to as American aristocracy, the Lorillard family.
Yeah. But so he inherits this chunk of property on the water just outside of New York City, and he and a bunch of other rich guys, there was a list, but they wanted to create a holiday resort, an exclusive residential enclave. So they started Tuxedo Park.
The Weewa Beach Club. I'm not being a smartass. It was called the Weewa Beach Club.
And so, going back to Lorillard, when he's at that ball, he sees a jacket, a formal jacket that he can wear to formal events, but he doesn't the tails don't interfere with sitting down. There's no tails. So he can sit down, he can dance. So he gets home, the moment he gets home to America, he commissions his own jacket. Several members of his family get these jackets. And so in 1866 at the Tuxedo Club, Pierre is hosting the first autumn ball. And so a bunch of members of the Lorillard family don this new British jacket design. And so the name Tuxedo naturally kind of goes with it. That's just, I want to be clear, because when I say tuxedo with tailcoats, up until, so the idea of a tuxedo was no tailcoats.
Right.
And then somewhere around the 20s, they put the tails back onto a tuxedo. So now you have the short jacket, satin lapels, and now tails are back.
And typically worn, they had satin trim trousers as well that went along with it. And they would wear a top hat and bow tie. And it was very
white,
formal, white tie, yeah. Very formal, high society.
Oh, no, white men.
Yeah, that's true. Also.
Like just bougie, boring, in the sack white men. Like, not all white men. I meant those guys.
She fucking hashtagged not all men.
Anything else about tuxedos, y'all? No?
No.
Okay.
I think I've made the producer hear it.
Number 7, these beaded headbands. It really doesn't have to be beaded. I know I titled that, but I just want to talk about the actual headbands that they were wearing around this time. Laurie.
So it was a lot of times it was beaded, feathers, jewels, anything. It was popular when they danced to dances such as the Charleston because it stayed on their heads and they could still accessorize with the flapper dress.
Rather than the cloche.
Rather than the cloche. They could
Also,
wear
hats
that
are hot.
Yeah, keeping everything in.
I had read that it was gained popularity with influence from Egyptian fashion because King Tut's tomb was discovered in 1922, so that had influences in the Cleopatra sort of look. I found that interesting. I did not know that, and it was also formal wear too.
Yeah.
So I guess it just depended on.
Yeah. So where, like, to your point, if a man was wearing a top hat,
right,
his partner might often be wearing the beaded or some kind of heavily adorned headband as her accessory rather than a hat or.
Andrea, anything? Okay. I just have, Laurie brought up King Tut's tomb, Egyptian queen. That started this look. There were head wraps, crowns, tiaras, headdresses, small hair clips. And then when you throw in flapper actresses that are seen wearing it, that's just that.
Yeah.
So there were, like I said, Egyptian tiara, princess diamond style tiaras. So they're small and pretty, but they stay perched on the head.
Right.
Yeah.
When they're dancing, you said that.
Because the music was very fast paced. So they were, you know, a lot of the dances, you know, they had to
Yeah.
keep it on their head. So they, you know,
They in some cases take strands of pearls, the necklace, and wrap that around the forehead, skull. I found something called the brain binder. And I didn't like it. That's why I looked it up. I was like, I don't like that. It circles the forehead and around to the back. It was also called a headache band because of its tight-fitting appearance. I saw some pictures of it. It didn't look fun. I didn't like that.
I have a headache just thinking about it.
I know.
Yep.
I always think of Angela Lansbury in Death on the Nile with that, like, her headband.
Yes.
What was her name? Salome. I can't remember what her last name was, but like she wore those like crystal cloches and the headbands and the big. But when I first saw them, and if you remember in Death on the Nile, she's playing a drunk. And so the headband was always like slightly
askew.
Yeah. So that's, I don't know.
Askew.
And I really like, and I think I've seen you wear a headband.
probably.
I was getting
I do love
like,
a fad.
yes. I was like, wait, I've seen Laurie wear a headband and it looked adorable, but it's something I like. But then I put it on and, oh no.
I just like to try stuff out.
Heck
sometimes it sticks and sometimes it doesn't.
I love a headband. Not on me, on other people.
I did also try the bob hairstyle. That was not for me.
I remember you with the bob. Yes, I do. I have pictures of you with the bob.
Because when it grew out, because my hair is so thick, it was more like a triangle, so it wasn't really.
That was I have a picture of you with the bob.
It was not great. But I do love a fad. So
yes,
you probably have seen me in headband. Oh, I did. In the 1 year on Halloween, I was did the whole flash dance thing.
Yes.
So.
Okay. Oh, does sweatband count? Because I had a full Olivia Newton-John fucking leg warmers headband.
Oh. That was, I'm sorry, Sean, I totally stepped on your, took it away by bringing up Angela Lansbury and everything. It was it's just a positive thing that I had, but yeah, it doesn't, they look horrible on me. And it's something I really want to.
You should bring it back.
It's like, this is the way I see certain fashion, that I see it and I'm like, oh my God, I love it and I want to do it. And then I put it on and I'm like, oh my God, no, it's men in white tuxedos. These guys see white tuxedos and they think that'll work for me. It's okay if you wore it to a prom in high school. That's an excuse. It's when you get married in one. And
I did though.
Yeah.
That's where you saw it.
That was where?
My veil.
Yes, that's where I saw it. Yes. Okay.
It was not great.
Okay. Number 8. If I can go back, because Andrea,
sorry.
No. Let's go. Number 8. I don't have a lot on here, but there is a particular reason I put silk stockings on this list. So, Andrea, anything at all about silk stockings?
Not the TV show.
Rob Morrow. It was Rob Morrow, wasn't it?
Was he in that show?
It wasn't Rob Morrow?
It's Rob something else, not Morrow.
No. The guy that was on Melrose Place.
All right, sorry, I said it now.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, sorry. Silk stockings. Yes, I think these were amazing for women. But I do like the whole sexiness of, and I know that wasn't some of the point here, but I think they were a lot easier. They're also expensive. They also run. There's so many flaws with them. And as somebody that has bought them and bought the clip-on garter belts and all that, it's a pain. You remember high school? And it's just a pain in the ass.
Is there a way for you to pan to your face right now and not us? Because I wish y'all could see Sean's face right now. He's also as red as a beet.
But I think that women were showing their legs, so you needed something like that. You also something you didn't have, because stockings before that were, and still are, in some wool.
Yes.
And wool stockings itch so bad, and they make you so sweaty, and you just want to claw your legs so bad, and you finally have something lightweight. Go all day silk stockings.
Yes.
Not the TV show.
All right, I'm going to agree to disagree. All forms of fucking hosiery were created by the devil, and fucking men who had to wear them, like talk about Victorian age stuff where they're in their little riding crop fucking shit and their whitey tighty tights. They were like, if we have to suffer, so do you. And then they decided, fuck it, we're not wearing them anymore, but you still have to.
Kind of like high heels. They did that with high heels.
Fuck all forms of hosiery. When I worked at the bank, they like the rule was like you had to wear
That's the worst
like
fucking rule.
nylons, and I said fucking fire me, and I never wore them. I'm saying I love the look, like you're saying, like in that
Sexy,
time period where you weren't going to go bare-legged. They were not. That was not going to fly.
Yeah.
That like the way they advertised it was modish yet modest.
Yeah.
Right. So it would look great, but you still got to be like, you know, not a hooer.
Yeah. But it's so funny what you say with having to wear silk stockings, because during, and I know I'm skipping to another decade, but when they needed them during World War II, when the nylons, they needed them for parachutes and everything like that. So there was the nylon shortage, which I know there was too in the 20s, but in the 30s for the war, women would paint their legs stocking color, and you had what was called a stocking pencil, and you would draw the line up the back of your leg, like your sock. Yep, the seam.
You see what I'm saying?
And which, you know, basically, men. It's some bullshit.
Well, I also saw that they used rayon, which was called artificial silk, because it was more affordable.
Yeah, towards the end of the decade, right? Probably more into the 30s, I think. But yes, they were developing that technology or material, making synthetic material was developing, and then I think we get it more in the 30s than in the 20s.
But you would have had to import all the silk, right? Because silkworms aren't here in the U.S. If I remember anything.
Well, listen, I mean, yeah, that's probably true. I mean, maybe, but also like in the ads that I saw for them, they were cheap by. Like you could get a pair for $1. Now, if you're only making X amount per week, maybe that's not so cheap. But they were, you know, but they were necessities. Like again, you couldn't just raw dog it down the street then, right?
But that's why I threw this on the list. Is that we've been talking about the flapper dress, how great it is that hemline started to come up,
but you still had to cover.
We still had to cover our leg. Not we, I didn't have to, but y'all, you know, females still had to cover their legs.
Yeah,
and that was the only thing that necessitated stockings. Was you can't show your bare legs.
And so what the wildness of nude, right? Colored stockings.
I love that. We're going to make it nude, but you have to be
crazy. That, again, created by the devil.
Which, and Michele says that, and I think about that, like when I worked in Vegas at the Fremont, the manager there in HR required you had to wear nylons. You could not be bare-legged, where when I was at the Cal, you could, because Chantel was sane, but you think about, like, this was 2000 plus.
Yeah, it's weird too.
I had to have my legs covered in Las Vegas, where I was hiring girls that is as much like man.
Yeah, it's a little bit backwards.
That's really fun.
Sure.
But to Andrea's earlier point, the silk part of it, right, being lighter and breathable, as opposed to
wool stockings. Suck.
Stop that. Nobody wants to wear those.
I used to wear those underneath my my ski outfit.
Okay, number 9. I know. I put Art Deco jewelry, but it's really just about. I wanted to talk about Art Deco as a movement, but I'm doing it under the
This
guise
was
of jewelry.
great.
So.
Art Deco jewelry is amazing.
It is.
Laurie, show your earrings.
Oh,
A little
gorge.
bit inspired.
Yeah.
Gorge.
It was, so they were bold, which was the whole flapper movement. Everything about it was bold. So this jewelry matched it. It was made of platinum, gems, polished metal. Cartier made it. Van Cleef and Arpels made it. It just became a symbol of the time. And a lot of ladies were wearing chandelier
Yeah.
earrings. It was very popular. I don't have much more to say except I love it.
It is. It's gorgeous.
I don't have anything else to say about it.
Yeah, I found, because I went instantly into images, and I found like probably a Christmas present, and I've got to show you that you will probably want to buy me.
I'll give you my list next week.
They were like these emerald discs. Oh my god, they're so gorgeous. And I feel that they should have a home on my ears.
Yeah.
So this is like another thing that was inspired by the King Tut's tomb discovery.
Yeah,
because they were like the colors were bold.
Yeah.
And this is like starting to see, but with jewelry in particular, the use of bakelite.
Yes.
Which was synthetic plastic, right?
Mm-hmm.
They turned, and you could dye it any color. You could start making like cheap. They could be affordable,
yes,
right.
Because it was made with bakelite. They didn't always have to be the expensive jewels or beads or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But some should definitely be expensive, and jewels.
Oh, sorry. Sean
Noted.
should look for the bakelite version of whatever she wants. But because the haircuts were shorter, then you could wear long, sometimes very lengthy
long
earrings that, again, would move on the dance floor.
Right.
It was, again, flapper favorite. I mean, a lot of this you're going to find.
Yes.
We have found.
Yeah.
It's influenced a lot about just the flapper themselves, right? Just the flapper look. What else? Oh, and it was like it was a pretty big left turn from the Art Nouveau period before this, right? It became like, this is like in your face and very like
like no longer
loose and
embedded and tucked in.
Correct.
It was big and gaudy and not gaudy.
No,
too,
but
that's,
compared to the previous movement. 100%.
And it made a resurgence in the 80s.
Yeah.
A huge resurgence. And the geometric
Yeah, a lot of it.
aspect of it. Again, the bold colors too, because that was really big in the 80s.
So neon is what you're saying.
Yeah, basically. I mean, they were done in the emeralds and the rubies and those types of colors. But I know a lot of it went neon or pastels, but I would say that it still is something that's popular. Another staple, classic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Michele, you again trying to kind of sew together everything that you all have said, but going back to the Victorian era, this era that the women were trying to move away from, they favored muted like cameos, chatelaines, tiaras, diadems, but muted. To y'all's point, is like not colorful, not anything. It's not gaudy. That's not the right word. But anyway, flashy. Because again, they were trying to be. The modesty was.
Well, yeah, because earrings used to like from the books that I've read set in previous to this decade. Earrings were like ear bobs. You had like a tiny little like if you had and it was a clip on. I mean, barely anybody was pierced of whiteness. So it was just a discreet little sparkle on your ear or something. You would never call attention to it. You would never wear your hair in a style that set off,
It's very modest.
Yes.
But
sorry.
But the dress, we just talk about the flapper dress, plunging neckline. So now necklaces, right? Like you have pendants, long necklaces, made up of pearls, colored beads, all that. Then Michele brought up someone brought up short hair. Your ears are exposed, so earrings, ornate earrings, long, dangly ones. But then also the sleeves, short sleeves, sleeveless dresses now. And so bracelets, all these different bracelet styles, bangle bracelet. There's
Laurie's got the bangles.
Well, and so the last thing I wanted to say, because I learned this and I didn't know it. I didn't have any need to know it, I guess. But Art Deco, and so in 1925, the International Exhibition of Modern Decorative and Industrial Arts was held. It's an exhibition held in Paris, but in the French translation of that, which I'm not going to read.
I didn't know how to pronounce it.
I'm not even going to try. But in the middle, you can see it was Art Deco in the middle of the French
I love that
translation of that. So it was originally scheduled for 6 months from April 29 to November 8th. But by October, I'm sorry, it was originally supposed to end in October. But by October, more than 16 million people had visited the expo. So they extended it 2 more weeks into November. So it was designed by the French government to highlight the new modern style of architecture, interior design, furniture, glass, and jewelry. And so all these ideas of international, because it was everyone from Europe basically came to this expo to show all of their new stuff. There were 15,000 exhibitors from 20 countries. And so the modern style that was represented at this expo would later be called Art Deco, from that, again, name I'm not going to try and say. And then so you have that expo, which took place right after what Laurie has mentioned a couple of times, the excavation of King Tut's tomb.
And I didn't know that. Before I did the research, I found that quite interesting.
It's the beauty of
Let me
this,
see.
really. Is
Yeah.
like all the stuff. Yeah.
That I learned. I learned
Yeah.
a lot
Yeah.
doing this show. So I think Laurie said this, but I want to make sure the central theme of Art Deco, not only jewelry, but Art Deco, the movement, was geometry, symmetry, and boldness of design and color. So that color jumped out again of non-Victorian. So our rebellion now can be complete. But so I kind of already said, that the Victorian era, what that featured, this was liberated women of the 20s who wanted no relics from that era. They were
Done.
Yeah.
done with that. So that was really the main part of that. But anything else about the jewelry aspect, y'all?
I'll get you that picture. I literally have in my notes, Sean, buy me some.
Okay, number 10. I don't have a lot on this one either, but I did want to put Spats on the list. Michele, anything about Spats?
Yes. The spatterdashes, which they were called at one point, also
shit.
spattered guards. Again, upper class. They were made initially to protect your shoes from water, mud, whatnot, the elements. And that King George V went to a flower show. And before this, he opened the flower show, or
King
made
George,
a present.
the King's Speech, King George called first.
Maybe, I don't know.
I think, yeah.
But it was in
Okay,
the
sorry. Sorry.
the 20s. But so he goes to this flower show, and everyone there is dressed with very formally. They all have spats on. They're all very formal. And then the king walks out, and he is wearing what's called a mourning jacket. So back to the different cuts of the jackets for the tuxedo tail thing. He's wearing a mourning jacket rather than a frock coat. People are shocked. And the other thing that he is not wearing are spats. And the men lose their shit when they see this, and then litter the bushes of the garden show because they've discarded all their spats. They took them all off and threw them into bushes because the king, they're looking to just like celebrities, and we look to their trends.
They were the celebrities at that time.
They were, and so, but then I also read that later, but at the time also, but Emily Post wants that they should, that your spats should always match your gloves. So if you had white spats, you had white gloves. If you had gray spats, you had gray gloves. And I would like to add that I have that same rule for tops and socks.
I like it.
Tops and socks.
Perfect.
I have my socks must match the color of my top rule. And again, not the height of fashion, but it is a rule I have for myself.
It's a good rule. That's a solid rule. I like it.
How are we best friends?
I don't know. I really don't know.
I have a rule that my socks cannot match.
I know. I've seen you guys fold your laundry.
Yeah.
It sets my OCD on fire.
Socks should not match.
Laurie, anything else about Spats?
I had the spatter dashes. I found that as well. I put closely associated with Gatsby and Prohibition era. It was a kind of a thing that they wore. They sported those.
Douches everywhere.
Andrea, anything about Spats?
Oh, here's my thing. They're supposed to protect your shoes, right?
They're actually supposed to protect your ankles and your insteps from. And so, since everyone's throwing around the term spatterdash is, if you separate those two words, to throw violently a cement-based slurry. So originally Spats were worn by men to protect their ankles from their socks and the tops of their shoes from cement.
Oh, okay. I'll go with
Wet cement.
Then why are they white?
That's the fashion part, I think.
And I had read that they were longer in the military, that they had worn them.
They were gaiters. They were
gators.
Them down.
Yeah, they were gaiters.
Okay, I know those. Okay.
I know you.
No, Spats just.
It's an interesting name.
Yeah, and
for me, like if I see a picture of someone in Spats or I read the description, I just think like, oh, fancy. Like, oh, so fancy, right? Like no
Very
one
fancy.
we know would ever wear Spats, and if they did, I'd be like, ooh, fancy.
Yeah.
Looking fancy.
I was like, why? It's so funny when I read Spats, and then like a couple of seconds later, I had what? Oh my God, Danny Kaye. Song choreography from Holiday. White Christmas going through my head because he's men in Spats. That's all just
fancy.
We're talking choreography.
Oh boy, here we go.
Okay. That is our list. That's our first list of 10. No, I asked for it. I'm not, listen. And so Laurie, thank you so much for joining us. You have been great.
We'll be with you.
Two things: you set the bar pretty high for guests, and just means you got to come back.
Okay.
So bad news all around for you and the other guests.
You can take my position if you want.
No,
I'm gonna take that picture off. But
thank you for that. Sorry, I messed up.
Glared at so much.
So, Michele and Andrea, thank you for the research, your opinions, your input. So, everybody else, if you're still with us, then don't forget, like, follow, subscribe to the show wherever you're listening to the show. You can find us on social media. We're on Blue Sky, a little bit of Instagram. I'm not as active on Instagram as I'd like to be, but I do check it. So if you put something, comment on there, reach out to us in any kind of way. I just want to try to get, if anybody's listening, to try to connect, have some comments. Like I said, tell us we're crazy. We don't know what we're talking about. But if you do, just remember, we regret nothing.